All right. What is going on, everybody? Thanks for joining in. It is just me and Julius today. Nick is on a little bit of a vacation, but he's out there having some fun. But don't worry, we will too on this show. So, we're just gonna do a quick little, not quick, but shorter than usual episode on just some Lions news, what's been going on, some training camp talk. But basically, what we're supposed to do was we're gonna do the second half of the schedule. We're waiting for Nick to do that, so likely that'll be next week. So if you're waiting on to see the Lions final predictions from us, we all had the Lions going 2-6. And Julius, I kind of found it ironic that all three of us, we had Lions going 2-6 through the first 8 games. We all had different winners for the 2 games, except for me and you. We agreed on one Bears game. But besides that, we all had different winners. So I think that just goes to show that this season, we might upset some teams and we might, lose to some really bad teams that are probably worse than us. But it's going to be fun.
Yeah, man. Glad to be on today, but you're right. And I'm scared to even talk about that, as it pertains to the Lions kind of being a dark horse or, they might pull out some tough wins. We've seen a couple teams do that in the last couple seasons, like the Colts a couple years ago. You started to see them when they got a new GM and coach. You started to see them. I think his name is Chris Ballard in Indianapolis. He totally turned their roster around in like 1 or 2 years, and they were like winning games. And then the Dolphins as well. Last year, you started to see their roster play better. They started to win games they weren't supposed to. Next thing you know, they're on the fringe of the playoffs. It can happen fast, and it can happen fast for the Lions. So, you never know, really.
Yeah, and that's a lot of Lions fans. We need to start having a little bit more optimism because recently we have seen the Browns turn around, win a playoff game. We've seen the Bills do a complete 360, and they are now legit Super Bowl contenders. So those were teams that were just, a poverty franchise, just like the Lions, as you Bears fans like to call us. But, it could flip and, like a flip of the switch. And you could even go to like talk about the 49ers, in which, yeah, they did have a Super Bowl run with Cap. And then they kind of had a down years from like 2012 to honestly 2019, where they weren't doing much. And the next thing you know, they draft Bosa, they get Garoppolo, and they're Super Bowl bound. So it can flip pretty fast, and I'm excited for it.
Most definitely. I mean, if we win 10 games next year, I'd be highly surprised and shocked. But there's some games. I mean, that's why I don't take no weight in predictions. Like, I don't take no weight in analysts. I don't care if you've been a journalist for 40 years. I don't care what you think the record's going to be right now in May, in June. I really don't, because there's going to be teams that are going to be good that we aren't going to predict to be good. That's just a fact. There's always a few every season. And there are going to be teams that are going to be bad that we think are going to be good right now. That's just a fact. It happens every season. So I don't care if you think the Bears are going to win 12 games or, or I don't think you think if the Patriots are going to win a Super Bowl. The Patriots might win 4 games next year. You never know. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. So if the Lions win 10 games next year, hey, it was the calling.
Yeah, that's for sure. One thing that could help, though, is Aaron Rodgers not being there. And there's been some murmurs of, Aaron Rodgers leaving, retiring, wants to be traded. The GM has came out and said he's adamant Aaron Rodgers ain't going nowhere. No shocker there. But there still is, the chance that he retires or perhaps pursues Jeopardy. So as of right now, Rodgers is only minus 167 to be the Packers' Week 1 starter. And for me, I think that's great odds. I'm going to tell my dad right now because I don't have $200 to spend. But if I did have $200 to throw it on Aaron Rodgers not being on the Packers, I would do it because it's a win-win. And let me tell you why. Because if Aaron Rodgers does play for the Packers Week 1, you win your bet. If he does not, then you simply paid $200 to get Aaron Rodgers off of Green Bay. And as a diehard Lions fan, what more could you ask for?
Bro, I really would take that bet. You got me thinking about it now. See, this is why.
DraftKings, go place it.
It's,
The next
hey,
one is
not
plus
sports
140
betting.
Broncos.
Hey, sports betting is intertwined in this show, and now I'm thinking about taking this Aaron Rodgers bet, and I really hope we all win money and Aaron Rodgers doesn't play for the Packers next year. Matter of fact, if he straight out retires, I'd be cool with it.
Me too, man. But these are the times I wish we had Nick on here because he is very, very confident that Rodgers is certainly going to return. So perhaps he doesn't even know about this minus 167 lucrative bet he could get on. But I'm sure he'll be filled in when he listens to this episode. So before we dive into, all the Lions news and notes, let's talk about Todd Gurley. I think that was the biggest, biggest piece of news that has come out in the last week or so for the Lions. And I guess it comes off as, somewhat of a shock, somewhat not as a shock, because we do have Jamal Williams. We did draft Jamar Jefferson, and we cut Kerryon for a reason, it seems like. So why would we bring in another veteran running back? But obviously Gurley has the connection with Brad Holmes, Jared Goff, and then even Brockers, who's on the DL. So he's got, some teammates there in which he would probably feel comfortable playing for the Lions just to, play for a team. Because as of now, Gurley, he's not going to get a gig unless someone gets injured or someone really wants him. So, Julius, we had Adrian Peterson last year. So what are your thoughts on us, bringing in another high-profile veteran running back, even if it's not Todd Gurley?
I mean, I feel like this kind of always happens, all right? Like every season, the Lions dip their hand. No matter who the coach is, could be Jim Schwartz, Jim Caldwell. They all did it. Patricia. They sign a veteran running back who is past his glory, and I think it's really just for a shot. And it's an indictment on how bad our running back depth and our running back talent as a whole has been for probably since Barry Sanders left. Since Barry Sanders left, we have other than Reggie Bush gave us a couple good seasons. Javid Best excited us for a season and a half. Kerryon Johnson was exciting for a half a season. I mean, the list goes on, but we always dip our hand in and we get the Adrian Petersons and we get the LeGarrette Blunts of the world. And I feel like Todd Gurley just kind of fits that mode. I'm not too excited about it. I mean, I'm just as excited about it as when the Lions signed Adrian Peterson and when the Lions signed LeGarrette Blount. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I liked him like 5 years ago.
Exactly.
But is he gonna pop off for 15, 1600 this year? No, don't tell yourself that because it's not gonna happen. But AP had some fun moments early on, especially last year, I remember. So who knows? I mean, if he could help push some of the younger backs. But DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams is the 1-2 punch in Detroit.
Yeah, definitely agree on that. And for me, if Gurley came in, I would only want him on a veteran minimum or like something a smidge above that. I don't want him giving him, $1 million, $2 million contract for 1 year in which he's going to be your third string running back. And I think if we did sign him, he would know that he's kind of going to be this, maybe not number 3, but at least the 2B. So I will say the one thing I was happy to see is Swift came out and said, I believe he was on like CBS Today or something. He thought that, he wasn't opposed to it. He would be open to having Gurley join the team. He said he would be excited to learn from him because, Todd Gurley has been around the block for a minute. He might, he's very running back, has Super Bowl under his belt, multiple playoffs, and ultimately has that type of like next year tier 1 running back I guess ability, not anymore, but he did. So I'm sure he could teach some things to Swift, but as of now, I'm only wanting him for the vet minimum. If we did bring him in, I think it would be cool. Definitely think we could sell some jerseys with Gurley on the back. I think we would have a lot of Lions fans getting Gurley jerseys, just like we had the Adrian Peterson rush last year. But let's get into – this was funny. So, Julius, I know you saw it. Any Bears fans that are listening, I know you guys saw it. I posted a tweet that Penei Sewell in warm-ups, having some fun, tossing some balls back and forth to the running backs. And, they're not the best passes in the world, but, they're catching them. And sure enough, I'm like, man, he's throwing better passes than Mitch Trubisky. Trubisky would be over the heads of these guys. So I'm like, tweet this. So I tweeted out, and sure enough, we had all of Bears Nation, surprisingly, honestly, come to the defense of Mitch Trubisky. And if Trubisky, you're out there and you think Bears Nation hates you, they don't. They, when you're talking about Lions fans, they are certainly in love with you and on your side. But Mitch Trubisky, there are a few narratives. Before we get to what you guys say, Julius, I'm going to break it down. Mitch Trubisky, he is not the Lions' daddy. I know all you Bears fans says, oh, he's your daddy, he's your father, he owns you. And granted, he does have a winning record against us, 4-3. And you start to think, well, 4-3 is not that good. Who are the 3 losses to? Well, we'll let you pass. His first 2 losses were the John Fox era, his rookie year. So whatever, we'll let that slide. But his next 4 wins he had, he won a little tear against Lions, were all Matt Patricia coached teams. And then finally, when he gets the opportunity to prove himself that he can beat a team other than a Matt Patricia-led Lions team, facing Darren Bevel, massive losing streak the Bears were on, still in playoff contention, needed wins, halftime lead, Bears up 23-17, and what happens? The Bears defense blew it. No. When you have a lead going into the second half, your defense can't blow it. Your offense just needs to keep scoring and you'll win. So if Trubisky could have put up another 23 in the second half, they easily smoke us. But he put up 7 points in that fourth quarter because he can't score in the third quarter. Whole Bears team can't. And Mitch Trubisky is not our narrative. Oh, I see you, Juan, rent-free. No. He is not rent-free. I'm just trying to let you Bears fans know that this Mitchell Trubisky does not own us, and you're going to see it week 1 when he actually is going to get some play time against us in the preseason for the Bills against the Lions. So it's going to be fun to watch. And then finally, Juice, I know you're waiting so bad. Matthew Stafford is going to light up the Bears week 1. I'm putting my stamp on it. It's prime time. It's going to be so great because for once, I hope his teammates have told him, like, hey, man, you know, the refs they're not going to screw us. We're the Rams. You're not on the Lions anymore. This is going to be a fair fight. So Matthew Stafford week 1, I'm looking forward to it. Julius, what were some of your thoughts on all these Bears fans coming to Mitch Trubisky's defense?
You know, Adam, it's funny you mentioned that week 1 Bears-Rams game because that's like a low-key game that I think Lions fans should – every Lions fan should watch Bears-Rams if they can. If you can, keep up with it, see what's going on. Because if the Bears wreck Stafford and the Rams, we can maybe be a little worried about them, maybe. If Fields drop 4 TDs on their head, or something crazy, all right, okay. But really, we're hoping that Stafford, like you said, actually throttles them to submission and just makes them look not threatening at all. And we can look forward to beating them ourselves in a few weeks down the line in week 4. But that's besides the point. Bears fans have no reason to be salty about this Mitch Trubisky, this Penei Sewell meme that, it's funny. It was funny. He threw a nice spiral. Mitch Trubisky, there's I think maybe 98 videos on YouTube of how bad he throws, of how many overthrown passes. They're like whole montages on YouTube of overthrown Mitch Trubisky passes. And so many times Bears fans hating their life and blaming him for losing. So if Lions fans, little old Lions fans over here in the corner, we're no threat. We just want to make a friendly joke about how our boy Penei throws better than Mitch Trubisky, who doesn't even play for y'all anymore. Take a chill pill, relax, stay out my mentions, and keep just keep Lions names out your mouths, okay, Bears fans? Y'all think y'all high and mighty because y'all got Justin Fields. Y'all ain't even seen him throw a snap yet in the NFL. Everything might not work, bruh. It might not work. Stay humble, please, because when the time comes and things don't go y'all way, I'm going to have no mercy. That's all I got to say.
It's going to be fun, man. If Justin Fields is, anything but superb, we're going to have some fun with these Bears fans because it honestly seems like Bears fans are going more gaga over Justin Fields than Jaguars fans are going gaga over Trevor Lawrence. And Lawrence is, the
That's
chosen
crazy.
one.
That's crazy. How's that work?
It is. And then people come back at us and say, oh, well, that's what you're doing with Sewell. And then we come back with them and say, well, Sewell was actually graded as one of the best linemen in the last decade. Fields, not so much. You guys are just basing this on your own.
And we're not saying that Penei Sewell's about to walk in the building and turn our franchise around and on the instance of a snap. We're not saying that. We're hopeful that he becomes a dominant all-pro tackle, but we're not like, we're not shining him up to like save our franchise in his rookie year.
Yeah. And then finally, the one thing I chuckled at after I saw all these comments, quote tweets, all this, I went back and I'm like, wait a minute. No one actually defended Mitchell Trubisky. All these guys are just taking shots at Lions, taking shots at us, how bad we are, how Trubisky beat us. But no one actually said, no, Trubisky actually throws better than that, which I found hilarious because that says it all. If, you can't answer the damn question, you question the question with another question, it doesn't make sense. So Bears fans, we're just going to have to settle this the old-fashioned way. Week 4 and I don't know, whatever it is. But week 4, cannot wait for that one. That is going to be fun. But next up, Julio Jones. Yes, Lions fans, you might get a little cringe and say, oh, no, don't want Julio Jones. Don't worry, neither do I. But I guess there's some Lions fans out here that, wouldn't be opposed to him. And honestly, if we could somehow finesse the Falcons for like a 3rd-round pick and get Julio Jones, I would love it. But the case is, we're not going to do that. There's too many teams that have been, I guess the favorite to land Julio Jones or, the new team to land Julio Jones. And so what that tells me is that they got at least a couple decent offers on the table and they're just really trying to start bidding more. So Julius, we obviously, are pretty set on we don't want Julio Jones. So let me ask you this. You get a Bleacher Report buzz. Lions trade a 2nd-rounder and a 3rd-rounder for Julio Jones. What is your first initial thought going through your head?
Same old Lions. Same old Lions, because I'll be pissed off they gave up 2 early round. No, don't do that, please. All right, if they trade a 5th or a 6th, maybe I'll be cool with it. But do not give away no no top 3-round pick. Third or 4th, even a 4th-rounder. Don't even give away a 4th-rounder. He's getting old.
I got to pay him too.
He's a receiver. He has an injury history as long as anybody. Okay, he can give you 7 dominant games a season, maybe. No, I'm good, man. No, I pass.
You know what I would love? Julio Jones. What I'm really hoping is that we can just see him on any other team but the Packers. Because my biggest nightmare is that Aaron Rodgers and Julio Jones are talking behind the scenes, and Rodgers is saying, the only way I'm coming back is if you give me a big old extension and bring in Julio Jones. And the Packers are like, let's do it. And honestly, if you think about it, this has just come to my head, Packers have Jordan Love. If they could trade Jordan Love and like a 3rd-rounder, I can't imagine that they wouldn't do that because, Rodgers has shown he still has got plenty of juice in the tank. And if you put a guy like Julio Jones on that team side by side with Devontae Adams, oh my goodness. Don't want to say that.
Do it, Green Bay. Do it.
But then again, could become as a cap casualty. Julio Jones, just isn't himself anymore. He finally hits the wall and it hurts him because we did see not completely similar situation, but Andre Johnson, when he left the Texans, he went to the Colts. He still seemed like he had a bit of juice left in the tank. And ultimately, I think he signed not a crazy big deal, but he signed a decent deal and was just bad for him. So Julio Jones, if you do go to the North, please suck it up for us. But the one wide receiver who I'm getting excited about is not Julio Jones. It is a bigger freak than Julio Jones. Yes, I'm saying it now, and that's Amon-Ra St. Brown. This dude, I've seen reports he's been having standouts in OTAs, has been looking good. He's a guy that will really have to, earn his role in a sense that everyone is going to get the same opportunity, at least the wide receivers. And if he wants to stand out, he'll have to do something special and then keep on doing that. So Amon-Ra, he knows what he has to do. He's got a chip on his shoulder, and I'm excited to see him play. So, Julius, who is one of our rookies other than Sewell, of course, or, maybe our rookie or second-year guy that you are just chomping at the bit, getting, your mouth's watering, you're ready to see him play. You can't wait.
Well, it's actually a tie. I'm gonna give one on both sides of the ball because it's a few you could choose from. But on offense, it's Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm agreeing with you, Adam. And I believe he could be when the Lions come down to it, other than Sewell, hopefully, their best draft pick. Because I just been watching a ton of tape from this guy, and he looks like he should have been drafted in the first round. He looks like he can come in and be an elite slot option eventually, maybe. He just has this it factor about him. He knows how to get open. He runs amazing routes. He has pretty decent hands. He's not the biggest guy. He's not the fastest guy, but it seems not to matter. And I'm really excited to see him. He doesn't have a lot of competition. That's a good thing. The Lions wide receiver core is the laughing stock of athletic articles right now. So I'm excited to see him. On defense, on the other side of the ball, is Jeff Okuda. We need Jeff Okuda to break out this year. The way that TJ Hockenson broke out last year, somewhat quasi broke out. We need Jeff Okuda to show up in 2021. We need him to start locking receivers down and showing us that Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn did not just straight, throw away their last great top 5 selection. He was the 3rd overall selection. We could have got a haul for him if we traded down. There was other players on the board we could have got. We could have got Tua. You never know. We could have got something else. Let's hope that he is the real deal, because when he was coming out, he was supposedly the best corner to be coming out in the draft in a decade. Ohio State cornerback gold. We need that next year, Jeff Okuda. We need it.
Yeah, 100%. And you mentioned it, Julius. Amon-Ra, he really could be our diamond in the rough more so than Penei Sewell. And if you told me now both of these guys finished first-team rookie this year, I 100% think Amon-Ra is the slam dunk in that draft. Even if Sewell has, a phenomenal year, if Amon-Ra is, right there behind him, just the value alone is a slam dunk. And not to mention, if he proves something to us this year, Brad Holmes can go into next year thinking, okay, I don't need to draft wide receiver, first round. I could maybe go out and grab a vet, or I could look to, the 3rd round, 4th round again and do it again. So hopefully Brad Holmes nails another one like he did on Cooper Kupp when he took him, I believe, in the 3rd round. So that was a nice pick. So Brad Holmes has shown he can do it. Let's just see if it translates. And then one thing that popped up, Lions news, Jelani Tavai is down to 17 pounds. And ironically, he has slowly been a guy that I have want to see play. And it's weird because he was one of our, if not the biggest bust in like the last couple of years for the Lions. And the reason why I want to see him play is because if this guy is anything, but bad, if he's decent, if he's good, if he's great, then oh my gosh, Aaron Glenn, well done, man. And even, Dan Campbell, if they can turn this guy around into, a B- type player where he's actually getting snaps on defense and not just special teams, then that will just tell you everything about our coaching staff. And these are things that we can find out, quickly to see if these guys are the real deal or if, they just aren't capable enough to be, a defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, whatever. So Jelani Tavai down 17 pounds. And one thing I found hilarious is that I didn't realize this, Julius, but Matt Patricia wanted Jelani Tavai to be a bigger guy, I guess. And he was kind of, I don't know if he was like encouraging it, but he just 100% did not mind that Tavai was 17 pounds overweight and was, bigger than he should have been. So Julius, is there any type of sneaky player that, Matt Patricia or, the Matt Patricia, Bob Quinn regime drafted that you might be a little bit excited to see play under, our new coach and regime, I guess?
Well, it's quite a few actually. And I mean, you can go to Quintez Cephas. You know, we're all wondering how he's going to progress. That was one of those Bob Quinn steals from last year that's still on the roster. Um, Jelani Tavai is another guy. You're right. Jelani Tavai. I mean, last year, how many times did we see this guy look like a fool on national television? Like just totally look lost in coverage, shoot the wrong gaps, whiff on tackles. You know, he looked good, you know, hair flowing, you know, big guy. And you're right. Patricia and Quinn, they drafted for size. Size was a big thing on their defense, on Patricia's defense. He wanted guys that were big and long. And that's one of the reasons he took Tavai. And I just think he kind of used him the wrong way, didn't coach him up good enough. And who knows? I mean, that's one thing you could tip your hat to Campbell and Holmes immediately if they can get something out of Tavai. And then if you look at the cornerbacks, I mean, Amani Aroye, people's not talking about him no more because we drafted the Levi kid from Syracuse and we signed Quentin Dunbar. You know, everybody forgetting about Amani. He played some good snaps. And as well as Walker, the safety. You know, these are all guys that could still contribute for the new regime. So we'll see.
Yeah, and speaking of Amani, he has come out and said that he's enjoying working with the new defensive coaches. So I think this might be the case for a lot of the guys where they kind of are getting a chance to breathe in a sense of where it's not just all football, football, football. Because we heard the report where Dan Campbell, or whoever's idea it was, I'm sure it was Campbell before himself, guys, up there, wanted to bring back some, you know, fun in the locker room, in which they put the ping pong table back in. I'm sure they added some other, you know, shuffleboard, dartboard, little things like that, just so the players, you know, could be in the same facility with the other teammates, but, you know, still be relaxed and not have it always be a football only atmosphere. And I think that's kind of the new norm with a lot of these new up and coming players like Lamar Jackson, Pat Mahomes, and some of these new young coaches like Sean McVay and some of the other guys. But I think we're starting to see like a new wave of just kind of relaxing, let the players be the players and let them, you know, do their own thing. So I think it'll be nice to see that some of these guys will maybe not try a little more, but will have a different mindset, even if the Lions are, you know, 3-8 out of the playoffs and we're just, you know, playing for whatever, for moral victory. So I think we're going to start to see, you know, not so much, I don't want to say sadness or like depression, but I feel like that's kind of what was going on in the locker room. Like after the locker games or after the games, I feel like in the locker room, the players were just, you know, beat up, like, I'm done, I'm ready to go home. And that might have been the case even like in the fourth quarter or the late games. So I'm definitely excited to see our new regime play.
You're
But
right. One more thing too about Campbell in the locker room. They're going to respond better, and we want to see next year ain't really about wins. It's really not. It's about the eye test. I want to see something on the field. I want to see progression from last year. I want to see an increase in talent on the field, even if we're losing. I want to see excitement, you know, and that's what I think that you know, adding those fun things to the locker room and lightening things up will go towards.
yeah, definitely. I love, you know, just the passion that Dan Campbell has. And that was one of the things that when we were looking for a new head coach, I wanted a coach that would, you know, like a Mike Vrabel type guy. When we got Dan Campbell, you know, I hadn't really heard of who he was, but after these last few months, you know, figuring out this guy, oh man, he is a complete verbal Mike Vrabel type dude, player or coach that will, you know, get in the player's face, interact, do the drills with them, all that good stuff. And I think that's what you need with, you know, a head coach nowadays, not just that whole, you know, super strict football only. So who knows? But moving on, Penei Sewell, he's obviously locked into that right tackle position with Decker maintaining the left tackle. So Sewell has come out and said that, you know, right tackle is going to be, it's been a bit of a challenge, but he is up for it. He's going to embrace it. I will say he does have a bit of past experience playing right tackle back in high school. I'm not sure if he was just a predominant right tackle or if his quarterback was left-handed and that's why he was playing right tackle. But either way, he still has some experience playing right tackle. So I think that's going to help a little bit. So overall, Julius, do you think Sewell will, take a little bit time to adjust this right tackle, or do you think he's going to be, pretty solid from the get-go?
I think it's a good thing that he's going to right tackle because it lifts a little bit of pressure off his shoulders. So we could see him dominate at right tackle. We really could. And if we would have put him at left tackle, he played left tackle in college, but the speed of left tackle is different. That's why it's one of the most important positions in the league, is because that blinds you're more often than not, you're the blind side protector and you're getting the team's best pass rusher coming from that blind side. So, he could have saw a lot more talent and he would have a little more growing pains. On the right side the right tackle is more run based, zone run based, mauling. You really want maulers at right tackle. That's why Patricia and company tried out Big V there last year. And because Big V was known as a bookend run mauler. And so we seen on tape, Penei Sewell can definitely run maul. He could definitely get to the second zone, the second level, and start throwing people around with these zone reads and whatnot. So I don't think it's a bad thing him starting out at right tackle his rookie year. I think he could thrive there. But I think that eventually it's going to become – I think it was the Ravens had this situation where they had two great tackles.
There was a couple teams.
Yeah, Orlando Brown and I forgot the other guy. Ronald Stanley, I believe. Ronnie Stanley and Orlando Brown. They were both superb left tackles, but Stanley was a little bit better. So they had Brown at right tackle. Brown don't want to play right tackle. Why? Because the money is at left tackle. The money is at left tackle. That's the $100 million contracts and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? The right tackles get paid a lot less. So eventually, Sewell might want to move back over to the left side. Okay. So, but starting out his first year or two, it was expected. So I don't have no issue with him being our right tackle next year.
It's funny that you mentioned that, Julius, because it's the money aspect. That is kind of interesting to see if that will make Sewell. If we see Decker, if something happens, if we trade him, injury gets old, just starts playing bad, whatever. If Sewell will try to gravitate back over to that left tackle spot. And what actually is really ironic is two players come to mind, Lane Johnson and Tyrone Smith, both left tackles coming out of college, both rookies that were, I believe, drafted inside the top 10, so high draft picks, and both started off as right tackles. Lane Johnson and Tyrone Smith, both, studs. And ironically, if you pull up the Eagles depth charts, Lane Johnson's been a little bit out of the NFL, bounced around lately, but he is slotted back at that left tackle spot, and Tyrone Smith is back at that left tackle spot too. So I will say that does make me, I guess, a little bit happy in a sense that you can't like lose completely your like. I guess word this very weird, but like you being good at left tackle. So you can't like completely lose that. You still, they'll still be able to remember it. So I think it'll be good in the long run. There might be, a couple little kinks where, Sewell misses something, but all in all, I think he's going to be a pretty big beast. So finally, before we wrap this show up, Julius, we're just going to get to it. Who is going to be your breakout player for this year? Because last year, it seems like there's a lot of Lions that could break out. Honestly, any Lion could break out this year. We didn't really see a whole lot. We saw Swift have flashes, but I wouldn't necessarily dub that as a breakout season. Same with Hockenson. You saw flashes in solid games, but their potential, their ceiling is much, much higher. So for me, I'm going to go right back at it, and I'm going with our boy, Deandre Swift. And yes, this is the Deandre Swift signed jersey we're going to be giving away. It's a nice old gray Thursday Night Football edition. You'll definitely want to win this. All you got to do, check out the pinned tweet, subscribe to our show. Subscribe if you guys see that, and just retweet and follow us, and then you're entered to win. We're going to draw a winner after our week 1 game. So, Julius, I'm choosing our boy Deandre Swift to take that next jump. Who do you got?
All right. I already mentioned Jeff Okuda earlier, and I mentioned Amon-Ra St. Brown. I already believe Hawk and Swift already quasi broke out. I'm expecting more. I'm going to go with Jonah Jackson.
Ooh.
I'm expecting Jonah Jackson to just arrive in his sophomore season, because in his rookie year, he looked like one of the best rookie offensive linemen in the entire NFL. And if he goes all pro mode like Taylor Decker and Frank Ragnow, I mean, the Lions offensive line could send us places. Remember those games we were talking about the Lions could possibly win? You know, if they sneak a couple tough ones out, that's because our offensive line is the best in the league. And that's because Jonah Jackson is all pro. So I'm looking at Jonah Jackson to go from rookie stud to sophomore, Pro Bowl candidate.
Yeah, and he is one of those guys that, because of Swift, if he has the best season of his career, realistically,
1,500 yards rushing, like an Alvin Kamara season. Yeah,
exactly. It might get us a couple wins, but it's not going to do enough to make us a playoff caliber team. If we see Jonah Jackson become even like second team All Pro guy, or even miss it third team, whatever, he's close, he's a Pro Bowl player, then Jonah Jackson paired up with Sewell, Decker, Big V, all the guys, man. We would have a stud offensive line. I think it would bring a lot of confidence in Goff. And Goff's the type of player where we've seen him make throws. It's kind of just he needs to be not under pressure. He needs to have the time to analyze, make the throw. And
from a clean pocket, Jared Goff is one of the best quarterbacks in the league the last 3 years. Go look up the stats. Go look up the analytics. It is when he is under pressure, he melts away like a feather in the wind. Like he just totally loses it and just loses all control. He takes too many sacks. He makes errant throws because he's rushed. But if he's in a clean pocket and he got time, he can do it. He can do it. He can make the throws. We just see if our receivers can get open for him.
Absolutely. And I even think Goff has had quite a bit of experience against the North, ironically. Not sure how well he's done against the Packers. The Bears, unfortunately, have kind of owned Goff, making him struggle the most against any team he's played more than 2 times. But I think he only has played the Bears a couple times, in which were having stellar defenses, and they've kind of slowed down a bit since then. But I know Goff owns the Vikings. He has had some phenomenal games against Minnesota in the playoffs and I think regular season. So if he could just keep that going, it's kind of all he needs. Mm-hmm. But actually, no, I did get one piece of news that just popped up right now that I wanted to tell you guys about, and that's former Michigan head coach John Beilein will be joining Pistons staff as, hold on. I lost the note, but he is joining the Pistons staff as something. I just got the blurb. So, Julius, I know you're a Michigan man too, so I think that's pretty cool. I
wanted Beilein. I never wanted him to be the Cavs head coach. I wanted him to be the Pistons head coach when he left Michigan. Either stay at Michigan or go to the Pistons. Who knows what our team will look like right now under his leadership. But I do like Dwayne Casey, and I think it's a great move by Casey to bring Beilein onto the staff. So hopefully that works out with the Pistons, who I'm very excited about moving forward.
100%. While we're talking about Detroit sports, might as well just bring up the Tigers going 14-13 the month of May. We haven't had a winning record in a month. And I want to say like 3 or 4 years. It's been quite some time. I know it might seem surprising because, Tigers have been typically good, but last 5 years has not been pretty. And then not to mention, we capped it off with a sweep against the Yankees in Comerica Park, something we haven't done since the 2000s. So hey, maybe the Tigers are back. It has been a rough couple of years for us Detroit fans, in which the Tigers have been rebuilding, the Red Wings rebuilding, the Lions rebuilding, and now the Pistons are rebuilding. But, hopefully all these teams can hit their peaks, start priming up, making playoff runs all at the same time, which would be awesome. I'm trying to think, Julius, do you know if there was ever a time where all 4 years probably not with the Lions, where Lions, Tigers, Red Wings, and Pistons made the playoffs? I know 3 out of the 4 have done it quite a few times, just because
There
the
was
Wings.
a lot of 3 out of 4 minus the Lions.
Yeah.
Especially when in the 2000s and the 2010s, with the Tigers, the Pistons, and the Wings were all good for like 10 years there.
I think maybe that 2012 year when we lost the Cowboys.
Yeah,
no, I think the Pistons missed that one.
Maybe you're right. Because 05, it's pretty much 05. 05 is around the time the Tigers got good, because they sucked early on in the early 2000s. 05 to maybe like 2014,
14, yeah,
something like that. So the Lions could have had one of those Schwartz or Caldwell playoff appearances sprinkled in there. We got to look that up.
I think I think the Pistons were the ones that killed us, because the Pistons we were like from 2007 or 2008 to like honestly now.
Yeah.
Been pretty brutal.
Yeah. Once the going to work crew disassembled and we traded for Allen Iverson, it all went downhill.
Yeah, Iverson, T-Mac, you name it. Blake Griffin,
like the Greg Monroe years, the Andre.
Love signing washed up stars. But that is all we got for our show tonight. We are going to have Nick joining us next week to talk the second half of Lions' schedule, in which, spoiler alerts, I'm predicting the Lions to sweep the Bears. And all you Lions fans out there, if we do sweep the Bears, I'm doing something crazy, something funny. We did have one comment. This was hilarious. I posted earlier. I said, what should our host Adam do if the Lions sweep the Bears? Because I'll do something crazy. And one of the guys said, wear all Lions gear, go downtown Chicago and just go up to people and scream roar and run away. And honestly, that's the front runner right now. I think that would be hilarious. I'm still in Michigan, not too far from Chicago. It'd be a fun road trip. Maybe I'll get you, Nick, to come down and record it. But it would be a good time. So if you guys got any other ideas for how I should celebrate, how we should celebrate when the Lions sweep the Bears, let me know. Tweet it, DM it, whatever. But ultimately, you guys can check out me and Julius on Twitter. Julius at the Fifth Top, myself at EverydayFFB, and then of course check out our Honolulu Blues _ Twitter on Twitter. We got a bunch of good stuff. The jersey giveaway I mentioned earlier, and some more stuff to come. But I think that's all we got for tonight. Julius, you got any last comments or anything you want to say?
Go Lions, go blue.
Yes, sir. Go Lions, go blue. No Nick today, so we can just say Go Blue, Michigan, and Lions podcast. Thanks, everyone, and we will see you all next